Welcome, Shantanu.
Thank you, Nimisha.
So, I'm very intrigued about understanding data and analytics from your perspective. And I'm sure in your decade long career, you would be having lots of examples where you have seen businesses transform because of data. So, if you could share one or more examples about the same where you've seen massive growth happening because of data, that would be great.
Got it. There's not been a single company where I have worked and data has not helped in impacting profitability or revenue. So basically, what we always start with, there are only three things where data can help, and that has been my motto always. One is either the top line. The second is whether either the bottom line, or third, improving the productivity. So these three things data team has to do. So I'll try to give an example. So like in CashKaro itself. So because it's my recent company and I am leading this company for almost 2.5 years now in data space. So what I did, the first thing that when I joined, I started the visibility. I wanted to sort the visibility part first, which means across CashKaro, OnKaro, these are same companies, across all function, all KPIs, all business units, there has to be proper visibility of numbers, right? They should know where they're standing, how they're performing, how far are they from their target, everything. So that is the first part. I mean, that is the basic that every company needs to sort it. The data function needs to sort it for. So that was done. After that, one thing which I did for them is like, suppose companies need to know their customer, right? While will they say everyone knows their customer, but even their messaging, their communication, their homepage, if it's an app, everything should be designed for that customer, right? So generally, what you'll see for a mid-scale companies, you'll find similar kind of homepages, similar kind of app for every set of customers. The challenge is then it is not solving any purpose. It's because there's no one solution that will fit all. So what I did, the first thing of my business was that I built a customer segmentation model, and it is a basic statistical model. I mean, technically it is known as BGNBD, or in layman terms, it is called as buy till you die model. It's a basic statistical model which sees your recency, frequency, and monetary value of a customer. It builds a curve and finally tells me which are the most important customer for us, and it builds different cohorts of the customers. So using that cohort, I built 7 set of different cohorts of customers using their profiles also. And so now we have 7 different set. One is champion, rising star, hibernating users, sleeping users. Each cohort has got a different objective. For example, now these are your best users. For them, the communication needs to be different. For them, the way you talk to them, the things you try to upsell them would be completely different than to a, let's say, a hibernating or a sleeping user, depending on what simply classifications, active labs kind of users. And once we implemented it, everything got changed. Every business unit was aligned for that. Even the CRM team, the calling team, everything, all the object, they know for this particular cohort, this is the objective, and every decision has to make sure that we are going to fulfill that objective. That's it. Very small change, just identifying your set of customers and action towards that. What happened? It led to almost 150% jump in my retention percentage in L12 month, and in fact almost 180% growth in the revenue numbers from those cohort of customers. Simple way: identify your bucket of customers, know their patterns, what they do, and then what is do you want from those cohort of customers, and build your solution around that. That's it. That was very
Great.
important thing. I mean, one such which I can recall right now.
Amazing. 150% retention jump is like huge.
Yeah.
So let's say, as you were talking about mid-scale companies, and if we have to talk about a blueprint for a company where the data stream is non-existent, of course, data exists, but it's not streamlined. If they're looking to unlock the next growth potential and they are open to using data as the pillar for that growth. So if you have to tell them top three things where they should start. So I believe customer segmentation is the first one which you mentioned. What should be the next two things that they should look at for building a robust data pipeline for themselves?
I mean, our world, there is a saying, garbage in, garbage out. So the first thing what every data team has to do is to make sure that they are getting the right set of data. See, in any business, no matter how big or how small there are different functions. Every functions have their own tools that they're using. It's generating different kind of data for the same set of customers. Like might be purchasing on the app, they might be browsing on the app. Now these two, while a transaction data is different, browsing data is a different data set. Then he or she might be calling to customer care. The customer might be interacting to your push notification in app, everything. I mean, these
Yeah.
are all different tools. So first thing what they have to build is, for any scaling up company, is that they have to build a centralized data warehouse in our terms, which means a central data a place, warehouse, a simple place
Yeah.
where all data comes and merge at one space. So you don't have to be like too big to wait for that. Okay, let me be 1,000 crore company and then I will. No, you have to start as early as possible. What happens? It provides structure to you, to your all data, because now you are operating in, you might be using 100 different tools, 100 different interaction points. Then at the end of the day, only you will be working in silos. And that is the major problem with data. So first is build a central repository, build a data warehouse where all the clean data exists, build a pipeline so that it gets automated. Every day, the data should get updated depending on the use case, whether it's real time, whether it is day minus one works, whatever works for you. There has to be a central data repository, right? And you have to make sure that from whatever the data sources, whatever the input, like suppose your CRM, product logs, marketing logs, whatever it is, they're feeding the right clean and validated data. It might be there are many cases when you'll get junk data. So you have to identify it first, build cleaning solution to that you get, okay, this is my perfect cleaned up data, so that now it is usable for. So that is first thing any team, any company has to do. Second, which I feel is mandatory for any company to scale up, is defining their KPIs. And while it sounds very easy, like everyone talks about KPI,
Yeah.
but I feel still company don't know what KPI is more important for them. So for your business, which is the most important, whether it is a CAC, whether it is LTV, whether churn is more important, or whether GMV is more important. I mean, there can be n number of KPIs. Define your success, how your success look like. You have to define that so that every team is aligned to that. So, and the definition of those KPI has to be standardized. As big you go, as small you go, each, like, for the same set of numbers, a retention team might be using a different definition, a acquisition team might be using different definition, CRM team might be using a different definition, right? You have to standardize that so that everyone speaks same language. When I say my revenue is X, it has to be unequivocally communicated to everyone that this is what revenue means, or my growth is this is how the growth is being captured right now. So that definition is extremely important. And don't wait for chaos. I mean, as you scale up, there'll be lots and lots of chaos across it. You have to make sure that the proper logging is done. You have to make sure you have the right team. When I say right team, I mean, there cannot be one, two analysts for a scale up company just working everything. You need to start dividing your data team also, right? There will be team which will be working on the backend part, which means the data engineering part, right? So that the every pipeline is sorted, you get the right data. Then an analyst team should be there who can read numbers. When I say read numbers, because a data team job is not just to make sure the data is available, that also job is to make sure the some strategy can be built out of that, some action point needs to be built out of that, and their analyst comes into picture. And as you scale up, you might be needing more predictive modeling, like the models. So then you will be needing data scientists also there. So that's how you have to structure your team. You have to structure a company. You have to define frameworks. In this framework, you're going to work. You have to define all the modules. I think that is how I would like to proceed.
So basically, one is building a central data warehouse. Second is defining what are the right KPIs, what are
Yeah.
the main important KPIs, and then the definition of KPIs has to be standardized. And lastly, build the right team. So this is the
Yes.
three first
Yes.
starting points for any company which is looking to lead growth via data.
Yes, definitely.
Great. So since we were talking about teams, usually what are the KPIs that you track for your team, and how should the KPIs of a data team be tracked basically?
I mean, that's a, I have been discussing it for long, and it's actually a paradox. Data team builds KPI for every other team. But the toughest part is to build KPI for themselves. And this is, as a leader, if you have to define a KRA KPI framework for your team members, it becomes extremely tough. There's no rule book, nothing, right? How will I justify what my team is doing? Because at the end of the day, business is working on, I mean, improving the revenue. They are looking at the numbers. You have built everything, right? Now what? How will say what data team has been done? I mean, you can't just say, ki, okay, they're running queries, they're building Power BI, that is there.
Right,
But
right.
how will you define those work? So it's an extremely complicated, I would say, paradox that every data team in this world faces. But I have tried to structure, because you have to provide a structure to your team. They should also know what is happening around and how they are being measured, their performance. So what I did first is there are certain business impact metrics, very simple, like do identify those activities, right, which has led to a revenue cost or revenue jump or a cost decline. So let's say some campaign has been designed, right? What was your input in defining that campaign? Because n equal to one campaign, suppose you're defining at a user level, has that campaign brought any jump in the revenue? That can be attributed to what a data led campaign is doing. You need to automate those. So that revenue number always needs to be factor in anyone's KRA. Until as the revenue numbers are not part of them, then everyone will feel like they are just doing a support job and they're helping team. That's it. I mean, I have built everything. Everyone, team member will come and say, okay, I have built reports, I have built everything. Now business teams are not using it. So, but it's our job to make sure that team uses it and scale the business. And that's why revenue becomes a very important factor in their KPIs. And not just the overall revenue, it can be what incremental revenue your actions are bringing in the business, your intelligence are going to bring in the business. So that percentage is one very important KPI that I keep in KRA. Second is the standard ones, which we data team can borrow from software teams, which is the SLA adherence on dashboards and reporting, how many jobs we have automated, what is the productivity saving, estimated productivity saving on those automation of jobs. Then suppose if you have a large business team, you'll get many ad hoc queries. So then what is my query, query turnaround time? That's one thing. Fourth KPI which I give to team, because we will build n number of things. So currently my team has built, I have built almost 500 plus tables, jobs, automations across, and that almost every business unit has their own BIs, depending on how deep they want to look. But for me, it's not about building; it's about whether the business team are even using it. So adoption also becomes part of data team's KRA, not business team. Adoption of whatever you have built. You're building something for them. Please request them to, or make those report useful so that the business team start using it. So that also becomes a very important KPI for me, and that's
Very
how I have
interesting.
tried to structure it.
Very interesting, Shantanu. So now with AI and I mean, data is the first thing probably which is getting transformed because of AI and the usage of data as well. So, how is the team dynamics or the team structure, team talent changing because of AI?
So not just AI. I mean, AI is an offshoot of data only. I mean, we are
Right.
part of same family. So it's not like that drastic changes is going to happen. But one thing is for sure, the business dependency on data will reduce further and further. Why it is so? Because for general querying time, like I want these query to be written. So in CashKaro, what we have done, we have a warehouse. We use AWS, Amazon's Web Service, Redshift. We have given Redshift access to business teams directly, and we have given we have created a GPT, uh, explaining them these are my standard tables, these are my standard queries. Now what happens if business team has to generate any query, they go to that GPT, they type, okay, these are my query, these are my questions, and these are the tables that I need, can you draft me a query? The GPT generates those drafts. Over time has been, we have observed that my 90% of uh, query that we used to get from business has reduced in the last 1 year itself.
Because they're able to do it by themselves
By
using the
themselves.
tool that your team has developed,
Yeah.
the internal
So
GPT.
it's a basic GPT that's it trained on our tables, standard tables. Not everything can be shared on standard tables, because we know what kind of queries, what kind of business team keeps on asking. So we build that. If they want to do how they want to play in Excel, they want different kind of data set, just type to GPT and they'll get that. If they need any issue, now they are coming to. So so the bandwidth is reducing, and that is also giving us an info that you don't need someone to churn queries, to write codes and just, I mean, sit there and waste the time. Okay, when business team will give some requirement, will build something. Now you, as a data person, you have to think strategically. Next 2 3 years, this is going to be a pattern across all companies in India also. So if you are an expert, if you tell yourself that I'm a data expert and all you are good in like writing SQL queries or even a Python, say, your utility will diminish slightly. Right? It will not get reduced because still there will be people to check and everything. But you have to be, the differentiating factor is how well you think and how well you understand your business, to make sure that you have the right, you know, the right questions to ask and then search for those answers. So that is going to change. Now silos are not going to work, while it was changed long back, but now it's very easy to merge different verticals of the business. So data team, like suppose even what is happening earlier, there used to be distinct bifurcation, even 4 5 years back. Like data engineers will only do warehousing, nothing else. They don't care about funding. Data analyst will only work when that everything is in a structured table. And data science will only work on the model when everything is clear and they know they have done feature engineering and everything. Now this is changing. Now we need more generalist kind of team members. A data engineering who also understands business. And that's the term got originated almost 2 3 years back. We called it as analytics engineer.
Oh, okay.
So someone who can write code well, knows pipeline, and can also understand business. And AI is helping that because now learning has become very easy. You don't have to go through multiple logs. You don't have to spend 1 week on understanding code and building the basics, right? Now you can just build a GPT which can help you in those aspects very
So if
easily.
somebody knows what's the right questions to ask, or rather somebody knows what's wrong with the GPT so that they're able to fix it if needed, that's
Yeah.
probably the execution part of it. And then there is the strategy part where how it is going to actually impact growth of a business. They really need to understand that as well.
Yes, extremely important, extremely critical. I mean, that is going to be the USP of any data person if they want to survive the next 5 10 years in this business. It's becoming, it's very, see, I'll be very honest with you. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy for us, especially for the data people, right? It's not going to be easy for us. GPT is there, right? Business will adopt it. Business will adopt AI, lots and lots of automation, lots and lots of basic data insights, which you used to have simple people to dug up those queries and build on Excel will be replaced eventually. So we have to scale up.
Interesting.
At the same time, while it is a challenge, it is also an opportunity for us to grow fast.
Interesting. And are you seeing any kind of panic in the team right now, or do you feel that usually, like, probably data people are faster to adopt to this because they understand how these models are working more than, let's say, other business units?
Okay. So one thing which I want everyone to be very clear on is data is a mix of business plus principles of softwares, right? So we are always being treated as a hybrid one, right? Because we have to work like how software engineers work, and we have to think like how business thinks. So I think we have been on our toes for almost inception. And this is AI is also doing the same thing. Now we have to learn one more new thing. We have to be part of one more new thing. So I think the basic mindset is that everything changes. 5 years down the line, what will exist, we have no idea. Something drastic might change.
Got
Something.
it.
So we have to prepare. So what I have done, I know last 2 years have been like so much changes, so many changes in last 2 years that I mean you can't even count. You will just keep on forgetting them. Every other day a new model is being launched, right? Which is getting better and better. So what I have done in my team, every day Monday to Thursday, 45 minutes is a time to learn anything new. So it's a unofficial break where obviously you'll not be you'll not go and like sleep or something else, but you have to sit in a meeting room and learn anything new, which is relevant for the business in
Got it.
terms of data. It helps them build, it helps them because generally what happens, you just get busy in your task, in your day to day activities, you forget to learn. And in our world, you can't afford to not learn anything. That is a deal breaker, especially in our.
Very interesting. I think this is something to take away for all leaders, not just a data leader, that they are providing the scope and the time, bandwidth for their folks to learn and upskill, because upskilling has become the need of the hour again.
Yeah.
Like it's we are living in a crazy time right now.
Mm.
So if somebody needs to upskill, what are the top 3 data tools, AI tools that you would recommend for them?
So upskill, see now, I think everyone has started using ChatGPT. I'm assuming everyone one must be using it. The kind of challenge, the kind of things, the kind of answer it provides is reasonably good. But now in last 2 months, what I personally have done is I have shifted myself from ChatGPT to Gemini ecosystem, and the reason is very very simple, right? It's not like that. Currently, Gemini is better than OpenAI, the latest model. It's equivalently good, but the kind of ecosystem it provides is really good. Like suppose you have Gemini, you have Nano Banana, then you have VO3, then you have coding notebook LLM, right?
Yeah.
Everything. So from learning to video creation to audio creation to photo generation, everything you'll get in a closed ecosystem. And that's why from last 2 months I have started migrating my, earlier I used to have Perplexity, Chat GPT, Cursor, everything. Now what I'm doing, I just want, because it just become very challenging to have different tools and every time something is
The
happening.
models are changing so fast.
model training, and you might be building one thing on one place, then on second thing on a different place. So consolidating everything becomes very tough. So that's why I personally prefer one ecosystem where everything is possible, and that's what Gemini is doing. So Gemini is there. It's really helpful for if you want to code, right? Then Google Python codes can be written on Google Colab. Then you have VS Code, which is a editor ID. So there are things which you can learn. I still personally believe that traditional learning should be there. Why? Because I feel that basics needs to be clear. While GPTs and the open AI, the Geminis will help you solve the problem very fast, but I still feel they don't solve the basics if you don't ask them the right question. Because what is happening right now, everyone people are saying, okay, this is my problem, solve it. It gives you the output you put in there, but you are not sure why this answer works. I mean, why this code works, why this query works, why this answer works, right? That question, the power of asking why can only be cleared once you have the
Fundamentals clear.
fundamentals clear. Yeah, so that's there. But personally, I have shifted to Gemini for any kind of learning, any kind of things. And for if I have to do any research work, then I move to Perplexity.
Okay, interesting. As a data professional, what are the tools that are like very useful right now? AI tools.
So, for Power, for us, GitHub Copilot has been really useful for us. Then there's a Power BI Copilot, right, where you can also ask, you build some BI, and then someone can go and ask those questions, and from that BI, it will give you the answers, right?
Okay.
That has been really useful. GitHub Copilot is really rare. I mean, it's really useful for us to write code. It on the real time, it tells you can chat with the code and you'll get the answer. And now one more thing I was talking about, even a notebook LM. LM is really helpful for us. Why? Because what is happening? See, if you have to connect to multiple APIs, right? Then what everyone does, just give you documents, read through the document, build code, and then work. Now, what we have to do, we don't have to go to every doc. We just dump those doc in any PDF reader, in a good PDF reader like a notebook LM. It reads and give us, okay, this is the place where you have to look for. This is the exact code setup where you have to follow. So this is just up. This makes our life very easy.
A lot
So
of
that
time saving and efficiency is coming
extremely,
because of this.
yeah.
Interesting.
And lots of data. So and in our company CashKaro, what we have done, we are using Lovable. So Lovable is a software building product. I mean, you can build front end, back end via this. Lots of small scale internal product. Now we are also building it. So for automation, like for scraping, if you have to build, we're building as a mini scraping CRM tool, right? Where business team just write a keyword. I mean, for they want the scraping to happen, and we have built a tool for that using Lovable. So what happens? There's no. I mean, now your product also looks good apart from the utility that it offers. So that is also, and
Interesting.
you don't have to learn anything. You don't have to
So
learn
it's
React.
making the data team very independent in terms of not
Yes,
depending on the software team for the
for
utility,
the
the UI,
basic,
UX and all of that, right?
not even going to any, let's say, while you, if you're in Google environment, or if you're in AWS environment, or if you're in Microsoft environment, they also have certain tools. So you don't require them. I mean, you don't have to pay for any kind of things. You can build on your own if you want.
Very
Many things.
interesting. I think this is going to help a lot of company which is looking to sort of start from the scratch and perhaps think how do I begin, where do I begin, or even
Sure.
to hire their talent. I think this is going to be very useful. Okay. What are some of the common mistakes that you've seen companies which are looking to scale up make when it comes to understanding how data is supposed to be used?
So I would say, I mean, there are many, but I can list down three, which I think it's common across multiple companies. I have observed myself working different. I have worked in retail companies from which are like offline dominated, online
Mm.
dominated, and I've seen those kinds of mistakes happening everywhere. Possibly some are working better in rectifying those, but yeah, there are. So if I start with the number one problem is that many companies treat data team as their service desk, right? Can you send me the report? I mean, how many times, I don't know, in my life I've heard, can you please send me that report? Tomorrow is my review. We have to move away from that culture. Data is not a report building exercise. We have to understand business should involve data teams in strategic decision making, not just reporting. Number tells what you don't know. Data team will help in identifying the right path. See, data is like a Google map. Tell them where you want to go. They will charter a path for you. Now, if something happens, let's suppose you take a wrong right or left turn, they will tell you, okay, the path is wrong. But then they will change the course of map. Okay, now we can reach to destination B via this. So that's how data team needs to be treated. Not a report churning factory, not at all. That's the biggest mistake I've seen. Every founder, every CEO needs to understand this. Second, what I feel it's problem with many businesses, especially business heads, they somehow choose vanity metrics rather than the metrics which really helps the outcome. Right? They don't go into deep. Like suppose someone says, okay, my app installs are increasing. That's good. Okay. I mean, that's a starter. But it is impacting anything. Is it impacting retention? Is it impacting your revenue? Right? So there's a concept of five whys. If you're not asking those five whys, A is happening. Why? A is happening because X is changing. X is changing. Why? Same. If you're able to answer those five levels of whys, you'll be able to exactly know what is happening. And then only you'll be able to know whether I have to do this thing or whether I can't do this thing.
And all of these whys should eventually lead to your North Star matrix. If not, then it's probably not the
Definitely.
right decision.
Definitely. And again, for data, there are only three North Star. Either your top line has to improve, or either bottom line has to improve by reducing the cost, or third, either the productivity has to improve. There is nothing else. If
Got
any
it.
data team is focusing on any other metrics rather than these three outcome metrics, I mean, there can be multiple input metrics. That's a different call. But apart from the outcome metrics, then they're possibly looking in the wrong direction.
Got it.
Third, which I say maximum company misses. I mean, they feel that once I'll grow bigger, then I'll start is data governance, right? Very simple things. Access controls, version controls, right? Naming conventions, right? I mean, see, business A saying the same, reporting same metrics as A, other team might be calling the same metrics as B. And that's a huge confusion. I mean, you have to define the very basic things, but people miss it. Trust me, if you go to an X company, even the sales word would not be standardized. Someone will call revenue, someone will call commission, someone will call sales, someone will call X, Y, Z. It depends what language they use. They are more comfortable with, right? That's what happens. And so those access control, version controls, right? Because later what will happen if you're not putting your data governance at start, you'll only wake up when you will be in chaos. There's a possibility that you don't want every team to know about your full business numbers. I mean, that's not required. Why would a CRM team need what my I don't know acquisition metrics look like?
Correct.
It's dependent on the use cases, right? And you don't want to expose. There are certain confidential numbers which only a few need to access. So those right access control needs to be defined at earlier stages. So I think these three problems, which I feel that mistakes maximum company makes, and they have to solve at the start itself, so that doesn't pile.
Got it. Great. So now we want to move to a segment which is a rapid fire segment.
Okay.
Usually it's this or that. So I want you to choose one. You can't say both.
Right.
Of course, based on what you think is more important for a business's point of view.
Got it.
And this is primarily from a lens of a leader who has you have scaled companies, right? You have seen them grow. So I want you to take that lens only, not for somebody who's starting up, but somebody who's trying to scale up. So pick one, and if possible, give me a reason also why you have picked that.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm just coffee with Nimisha.
Yeah, something like that. But for the business people. Okay, so I'm gonna read it. Leaders who ask better questions or leaders who demand better numbers.
I mean, hands down, I would always say leaders who ask better questions. I mean, better question leads to better exploration. If you don't know what questions to ask, I'll never know what answers to find for. I mean, it's a company is a collective responsibility, right? I might think one way, other will think a different way, third person will think in a altogether different way. So if the question you don't have the ability to ask right question, you will never go to the right path. Never. I mean, there will be one path which you will follow, but that might be correct and correct. You don't know. So I personally feel that person who can ask a leader who can ask better question has the right recipe to success.
Interesting. So, data as a mirror for reflection or data as a scorecard for accountability?
Okay. I would go ahead with mirror for reflection. Why so? Because I think reflection leads to insight. See, because a scorecard will only tell what has happened, but a mirror goes on the line why it has happened. Tell us what to do next. So it is what turns data into action. That is the most important piece, and that's why I feel that mirror for reflection would be the right answer for me.
Nice. Sorry. Psychological safety to explore data openly or pressure to act fast. So, as a team leader, which one would you prefer for you and for your team?
Very, very tough question, actually. But see, I feel that you can't get innovation without safety. So at CashKaro, current company, we run almost 20 plus experiments every month across business units, across CRM, app, influencer, product level, right? And not all of them will succeed. I mean, that's literally impossible. But what matters to the people is to feel enough that if we say, here's what we have learned, even if we fail, that's okay. We'll fail. But there is a safety question. Okay, nothing. You fail. But you have learned something out of that so that you don't repeat it again. And that's where I feel the psychological safety to explore data openly would be the right choice.
Got it. Okay. Top down data mandates or bottom up data mandates? Which one works better?
I think it's a very, very tricky answer to it. While I would like bottom up adoption because bottom up adoption creates culture, but in my 12 years of experience, I feel that it never works. I mean, that is a utopian world. Even if your junior CRM is debugging, okay, why, which cohort of users performing well, then you have set up the goal. That is my vision. Even a calling team guy should know, okay, what is wrong with this customer? How can I dig deep on this? But that never works. So in all companies I've seen because the culture flows from top, the data culture also has to be flown from top. Your leadership has to be a data driven person. Then only the bottom team will follow, and eventually you will feel that there will be some time where a time will come when eventually everyone in the team will talk the same language in terms of data. So while I would like to, but I have to go by force. So, like every other aspect of the company, the culture for data also needs to flow top down. It has to, else it will not work. At least in my 12 years, I have not seen it working. Got it. Okay, last question. Okay. So last question. Challenging leadership assumptions with data or reinforcing strategy with data? So again, there's a saying that I follow that yes men don't scale businesses. So I'll always go ahead with challenging leadership assumptions with data because great data team always ask why. They don't just build what is asked. So I mean, if you don't ask why, if someone is saying, okay, build me this, go and ask, confirm them why you want to build this. What is your end goal? What is your objective? And let me think on this. Let me improve it further. And that's why you can't just be always saying yes sir, yes ma'am. You have to ask right question. If you are not right, if you're not asking the right question, then I mean, possibly this field is not for you. Got it. So very interesting insights, Shantanu. I think I have learned a lot from this conversation as a leader, as a business coach. Where are the things that I have to look for? So thank you so much. And I hope that this conversation, whoever listens to it, is able to draw some very valuable insights that you have shared and really helps them scale their businesses. Thank you. Definitely. Thank you, Nimisha. It was a pleasure speaking with you. So I'm stopping the recording.